Welcome to RPA Family Gaming's post game show, where we talk about all the things I forgot to talk about in the post game show. So I wanted to talk a little bit tonight about realism and about saying no. I think as parents, it's kind of our job to say no, right? Like, no, you can't eat a whole bag of candy for Halloween, right? That's just not okay. Pick 5 pieces, eat those, give me your bag. Come on, here, give it to me. No, I'm not going to eat your candy. What? Just take your 5 and go. Anyway, it's our job to keep our kids safe. It's our job to help our kids to not harm other people. All of those things are really important. And so we get in the habit of saying no. And I think it's important that we learn in games how to say yes. Because like a game, unlike real life, is a fantasy world, right? If your kid does something stupid in a game, they do something stupid. And there's some consequences. And maybe they learn something, maybe they don't. But you can all have a good time and it's fun and nobody really gets hurt. So games are great for that. It's a great way to say yes to your kids and to have some fun with them in what might otherwise be a dangerous situation. It's a little difficult though, I think, because with younger kids, their concept of a game is totally wild and creative and off the wall. And for me, that often breaks reality too much, right? I think it's important for both players and the game master to have some sort of framework of reality that you can hang the fantasy on. And if that breaks down, the game's less fun for people. They can't believe in it anymore. And for little kids, that's maybe less of a problem. I think saying no actually destroys that framework for them. Being able to exercise their wants and their plans creates that fantasy for them. For adults, I think maybe it's a little harder for us to be that way. Teenagers, you get kind of a mix. I think they don't like being told no either, but they have some expectation of reality. So we run into that a little bit in this game that I was playing with Evie, because when she wants to flip over the car, I'm willing to buy into the fact that she's got this crazy stretchy glue that she can stick on there and use like a rope and pull this thing over, right? I'm cool with that. I've accepted that as a part of the reality. But for me, it wasn't very realistic that one person would just be able to flip over a car. And so I kind of steered her a little bit to find a solution to that satisfied my need for reality. But because you had so many people helping, you're able to flip the car over and the guy... And I think that's important, because if I'm not enjoying the game, it's hard for me to help them to enjoy the game, and it's hard to want to keep playing over and over again. So if we can both have a fun time, we're going to want to keep doing this, and it's going to be a good experience, and we're going to grow closer as a family. So in that, I kind of steered her in the direction that I thought maybe she needed to go, but I let her come up with the solution herself. I presented the problem to her that was breaking the reality for me. She came up with a solution that I thought was feasible, and then we made the die rolls. Had she rolled a 1 or something like that, I probably would have come up with something like maybe brought the fire in earlier, like, oh, there's a fire, we can't, stop pushing, get out of the way, and then she would have had to deal with that complication. So it's not that her plan failed, her plan actually was working. The car was tipping over, but then somebody ducked out of the way of the fire, right? So then she has to deal with the complication. And I think that's a lot of how that game is meant to be played. You don't want your children to fail. You want them to figure out how to overcome complications and problems. So it's a really great game that way. The other area where that came up was when the fire was creeping towards the car. I said that it was a gasoline fire. And of course, she's a 5-year-old. So what's a 5-year-old going to do? Fire, you're going to pour water on it. Of course, as an adult, I'm thinking, don't do it. You never poured water on a gasoline fire. No. But it's a game, right? So I thought, maybe she'll fail. And of course she succeeded, right? Had she failed, I would have maybe played it a little more realistically and explained, what happens when you pour gasoline on fire. You're going to push it, spread it. It's going to float to the top and keep burning, whatever. Not going to stop it. But she was successful. So I struggled with that a little bit, but I managed to justify it to myself well enough to move on with the game and let it be fun. She got her success, so she had a fun time, and I think it went really, really well. One thing I do want to point out is that after the game, most things we didn't feel the need to talk about, but both James and I afterward felt the need to pull Evie aside and be like, don't pour water on a gasoline fire, right? So she got that message. That was really, I think, a failure on my part when I was making the notes. I could have had the hot engine light the grass on fire or something else, or just a fire with, without gasoline. I could have left gasoline out of it, and I created a situation that was a little over a 5-year-old's head. Bad planning, but we worked through it. I think it was a fun game. So if you like this idea of verisimilitude and working through kind of balancing reality for the different kinds of players, Matt Colville talks a lot about it. You can go ahead and check out one of his videos. I'll put a link in the description for that. And hope you enjoy the video. Love to hear your comments. Thanks so much.